Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to set up your PyTorch developer environment. And to start with is our first goal is to try and build PyTorch from source on Linux operating system. So we are just on a Zorin distribution, which is kind of inspired, highly inspired from Ubuntu, and all of these are Debian based. So it should not be a problem. Wherever you are, everything should work ideally well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the PyTorch repository. This is the official repository, as you can see. You can see on the address bar, and if I zoom in, you can see that is PyTorch/PyTorch. So I'm here, and the documentation is pretty clear. If you scroll down and you go to building it from source, so there's enough information about how to do this, but I'm just going to explain and walk you through all the process. Right. So the very first process is installing Anaconda environment, because that's what they say that it is preferred. If you have an Anaconda environment, it just keeps things pretty organized for you, so that you have different environments. You can install different libraries of different versions and still not break anything. So it's always good to have an Anaconda environment. So I'm going to go there on Anaconda website, and I'm going to download it. So I've already started downloading it. It is, I think it's complete. So we will first go ahead and start installing Anaconda, but let's go through the steps. Right, all it says is you will need Python 3.6.2 or later, and a C++ 14 compiler. So because PyTorch uses a lot of features which were introduced in C++ 14 and or later, they work for them. So it's good. I think it's not just good, but of course it's needed that you have Python version 3.6.2 or later and C++ 14 compiler. Right, and once that is done, then you need an account environment, which is okay. And once that is installed, we need to install CUDA, cuDNN, and compiler. Okay, so this is okay. We can take a look at this after once we are installing CUDA and cuDNN. And do remember that these two libraries are only required only if you want to compile with CUDA support. That means if you have an NVIDIA GPU and you want to leverage that, for your training purposes and all. So then this is important. Else you can just skip using and set this flag use underscore CUDA is equal to 0 if you want to disable the CUDA support. Right, and this is important because it might happen that you have CUDA installed, but you don't want it to be used. So you can just say that use underscore CUDA is equal to 0, and that will be it. So, and all the other potentially useful environment variables are found in setup.py, right? So we can just take a look at that after, if we are interested. And NVIDIA's JSON platforms and all is not in the scope for this video, so we can discuss that later. If you want to compile with ROCm support, it's again not in the scope for this video, so we can skip this part. But it's kind of similar to CUDA, right? So you need to install that, and you can say use underscore ROCm is equal to 0. That should work just fine. Then you need to install some dependencies. Now these are the common dependencies that need to be installed in the command is basically the same for all the operating systems, Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. So we are fine with using this command. If you are on Linux, then you need to run this command, right? And it says add LAPEX support for the GPU if needed, right? Only for CUDA devices. And if you're on Mac, then you need to do this, and if you're on Windows, then you need to do this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start setting things up for you, and you can just follow me along. So I'm gonna open terminal now. Let me open my Z shell. Right, as you can see, I'm here. I'm gonna go to downloads. So I already have, I think, whoa, it's not downloaded yet. Oh, I need to keep anyway. Right, so I've downloaded it here. If I do ls now, you can see it is here, Anaconda 3 2021.05 Linux x86 underscore 64.sh. So this is a shell script file for us to install Anaconda. All you need to do is first of all make it executable so that you can run this file. How do you do that? You change the permission. You give it an executable permission by passing +x here, and then you just press the file name. So chmod is just changing the mode of this file, right? And then all you can do is just /anaconda in the whole file name. That's it. If you hit enter, it will show you some instructions. In order to continue, please review and all. I highly suggest that usually you should go through this, but I think it's just fine just to skip. Just press small q, I mean just q, and that should work. You just skip through all this, and you are basically saying, by default it just says no. You can say yes because you need to accept the license terms. And this is very important for you to remember. Anaconda 3 will now be installed in this location /home/krshimali Anaconda 3. right? If you're okay with this location, press enter, and if you're not okay with this, then you need to specify a different location, and this can be anything, but I prefer having this in my home directory and as anaconda 3 by default. So I'll just hit enter because I'm okay with this. So as it says that prefix is now this. Now it's trying to install things for you. We can just skip through this part and come back later. But meanwhile, let's try to download CUDA and cuDNN for now, right? So what we have to do is, because I'm on CUDA, I have an NVIDIA GPU as well, and I want to show this example. So I think this is highly important. It's really important that we actually go through this. So let me see. Yeah, okay. So we already have a driver installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to additional drivers, right? And I'm okay. So this is loading. So I'm just trying to figure out what driver do I have. As it says NVIDIA driver 460, right? So and from what I remember, NVIDIA driver 460 requires 11.2 CUDA. So you can see that I have gone to the NVIDIA CUDA website and it says 11.3 is the latest one, but you need to download which is supported by your NVIDIA driver. You can check that out by running NVIDIA SMI. It will not work right now because I need to reboot my system. But if you do NVIDIA hyphen SMI, you will just see some information about what NVIDIA driver there is and what CUDA version does it support. So I highly recommend you to follow that version only. So I'm just going to go here and download 11.2. Let's go with 11.2.1, right? No issues with that. So I'm gonna go Linux x86 64. Since I'm on Zorin and I know I'm on OS 16 beta release, so I know that it is it's based on Ubuntu 20.04, so it should ideally work here. Now you can just click on Debian local version. That means whatever file that will be downloaded, it will be kind of huge in size. It will be downloaded. All the things that you need to install CUDA will be downloaded in once, and then you can just kind of disconnect from the internet, and that will be cool. So I usually say that you go for run file because that is far more preferred, but Debian is okay for beginners. So I'm gonna click on Debian local, and I'm gonna follow all these commands. So all you need to do is actually just follow me along and copy these commands one by one, and then try to run it, right? But before that, we are on Anaconda. Let's try to see what where we are at. Do you wish the installer to initialize Anaconda 3 by running conda init? Yes. So it's kind of something I prefer, that whenever I open the shell, it should actually init things for me. As you can see, it has done everything. And it also mentions this important message that for changes to take effect, close and reopen your current shell. If you would prefer that conda's base environment not be activated on startup, set the auto activate base parameter to false, right? So if you want, no, if you don't want to use conda, then you try to use this flag, and this will set it to false. So that's also important, right? So let's restart this shell. Let me just exit from here, and as you can see, I am already having base written here. That means the environment has been created. I have Anaconda installed, and now you can actually go ahead and create an environment. I'm gonna create an environment. You can do that by conda create hyphen hyphen name, and you can give it a name. I'm gonna say PyTorch dev, and you need to pass the Python path, right? And I'm gonna say Python 3.8.8. But let me see which version do I have right now. I have Python 3.8.8. So I'm just gonna follow through the default Python version I have on the system, and I'm gonna go with that. As long as it is greater than 3.6.x, I forgot exactly the wait, let me as long as it is later than 3.6.2, it is good. So you can actually go with any version you have. If there are any issues, that will be mentioned in the documentation. Should not be an issue. So it's trying to create an environment for you, and while it happens, we can okay, it is done. Now it clearly says that to activate this environment, use this, right? And to deactivate, just to conda deactivate. So to activate, I'm going to do conda activate pytorch dev, and that is it. So you can see that you have now, earlier it was base, now you have pytorch hyphen dev environment. So you have shifted yourself completely from base environment to pytorch dev. Now what you need to do is you need to install libraries. As I told you, you need to install dependencies, and I would like to start this thing because it's going to take some time. So all you have to do is copy this thing and just paste it here. So it's trying to install all these libraries that you saw in the list, right? NumPy, Ninja, and all, right? And this is important that you just take a note of libraries that are getting installed, just for an idea what's happening. And then further on Linux we'll need to do this as well, because we are on uh, oh, it's done. Nice. Because now we are having CUDA support as well, so we will need to install this as well. But let's start and install CUDA first. That is more important, because if you don't have CUDA, then how will the libraries be installed? So all you have to do is follow me along, copy each of these commands, and that's it. So I usually prefer to download anything that I feel it's temporary. I go to /tmp directory, and whenever I restart, it will be these things will be cleared out, so that it doesn't take up space. So I'm just gonna copy and paste. Right, it's just copying, it's downloading all the necessary files for installation, and you can understand what's happening, but for now let's just follow along to the instructions. Right, and this is the Debian file that is getting downloaded. It's pretty fast. My net should be good enough for it to get completed within 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. um, Meanwhile, what we can do is we can try to figure out what should be the cuDNN version, right? So if your CUDA version is 11.2, then cuDNN version for that will be not necessarily the latest one. So you need to go to cuDNN, right? And you can go and click on download cuDNN, right? And there you will see, okay, we need to log in. Give me 1 second, guys. Meanwhile, okay, so it should take 1 minute, okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna log in here. Yeah, this takes some time. Right, so I'm gonna complete my login. Okay, so you can click on I agree to the terms and conditions, and you can see it clearly mentions that which cuDNN version is supported for which CUDA version, right? So for, you can see if you have 11.x, this will work. So we can just click on this, and let's do this. Okay, let's, if it says that it works for 11.x, then let's do that. So you can see you are on x86 underscore 64. So let's just click on this and download it. Right, do note that cuDNN instructions are different how to install, and I'll tell you about that. Right, right. So okay, this is going to take 40 more seconds, and this is going to take 1 more minute. So we can give a pause. Great. So now we have completed the CUDA download. It was good, 2.12 GB, right? So now all you need to do is go to the next command, and this is really simple. Just you're trying to install the Debian file that you've downloaded for CUDA, and you just need to copy and paste it here, and it will install it for you, right? Meanwhile, we have also downloaded the cuDNN file, so we'll need to extract that as well. So let's do that while it is being installed. So you can go to CD downloads, and usually I prefer to have a cuDNN folder. Um, let's just keep it cuDNN, right? And I prefer copying the cuDNN downloaded file over here, so that everything is that is extracted over here only. So all you have to do is just tar x hyphen xvzf, v for verbose, and zf is all the flags that we need to unzip this thing, not unzip but extract. So as you can see, all these files will be extracted to this current folder, and that is good. So we are good to go. Here you can see once this is done, it instructs you to just run this command. So you can just copy and paste it here, right? And it says okay, that means it's good. You would have also noticed that this is the same thing that is mentioned here. Then you need to update and just install CUDA. That's it. So I'm gonna do this here. So sudo apt update, and you can see that it's trying to get some links, or I don't know, whatever from these links related to CUDA. So we are good to go. And then you can just install apt install CUDA. That's it. That's all you need to do. And you can see that there's still a need to get 68.4 MB out of that 2.1 GB, and that's it. And it's going to take 5 GB of your additional disk, right? So just make sure that you have enough space, and it should be good to go. So it will take some time to install. Meanwhile, what we can do is we just see that we have extracted everything into CUDA, and all of these are the cuDNN header files and libraries that have been downloaded, extracted to this folder. Now, the installation instructions are pretty simple, and I'm gonna tell you how to do that, but once this is complete, so then only is possible. So let's wait. Awesome. So as you can see that CUDA installation is done, you can see everything is done. You And to verify, all you need to do is you can see ls/usr/local/CUDA, right? And you can see it says 11.2, and by default that is linked to CUDA. So, but once this installation is done, usually you have to do export path /usr/local CUDA and bin. This is important, and then you have to do ld library path to the lib folder of CUDA. So that's really important. If you do export path /usr/local/CUDA and /bin, then you can actually go and type nvcc, which is the CUDA compiler, and you can see it works. If you don't do that, it will not work because it will not be in the path variable, right? Similarly for ld library path, which is the path for libraries, and you need to give the path to the library, right? Now, only one step that is left is you need to copy all the libcodn header files, codn and header files and library files to CUDA folder. So what you can do is sudo cp-r CUDA, and you can do include all the files, right? Actually codn and star files to usr local CUDA include. That's it. That's all you need to do. So what all we are trying to do is we are trying to copy all the header files starting with codn to /usr/local CUDA include. That is it. To, and similarly for all the libraries, you need to do this star. That means all the files that are starting with libcodn /usr local CUDA lib64. That's it. And once that is done, you are good to go. So ideally there should be no problem. We will try to build PyTorch now, right? So I think we are ready. So of course everything has been installed, but one thing is still left. We need to What do we need to do? We need to install this thing on Linux. As I told you, now this is really important point that you should read. Now we have installed 11.2, so we'll have to mention as it says magma CUDA star, and that matches your CUDA version. So we have installed 11.2. We need to pass 11.2 here. So I will just copy and paste it here, but I will modify it to 2 so that it installs 11.2 only, right? And once this is done, we will be good to go. So I'll just wait for a few seconds for it to scan. It's not going to take a lot of time. 79.5 MB should be quick, right? Okay, it's not that quick, so we can probably wait. I'm going to come back once this is done. Cool. So since this installation is done, you can see it is installed. Now we can actually go and clone PyTorch source directory, PyTorch source, and we can start installing it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually clone my directory, because so my forked repo, because that will help me. So don't mind me doing that. That's it. So one thing, I think this is cool. So all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to clone it to documents. I would have ideally made a folder, subfolder, and done it there, but that's okay. So again, it's going to take some time, but I'm going to explain a few things here. By default, if you try to clone PyTorch repo, that is also fine. But always remember that master is probably the stable branch for you to go ahead and build, right? And just cd PyTorch, make sure that you're on master branch, get some module sync, because there are some third directory rep, third party libraries that you need to clone as well, which originally git clone will not do, but recursive will do that, right? And that is it. So once this is cloned, all you can do is cd pytorch. That means you enter that folder, right? And make sure that you are in pytorch dev, right? Everything is cool, and all you need to do now is just to python. Okay, first you need to do git submodule update, and you need to do submodule update init recursive. Is gonna clone all the third party libraries into your current folder, because PyTorch uses a lot of third party libraries. It's not just PyTorch, right? So It's going to clone it for you into that current folder, right? And the reason we have these submodules, one of the most important reason is you don't want to populate your current repository with all these third party libraries, because if you will have these many third party libraries in your library, then it will be of huge size, like it might exceed 500 or 600 MB at least, right? So it's always good to have them as a linked submodules, and if a person really wants to build it from source, they can actually run this command and clone it there. If they don't really, because you don't really need to understand what's going in these third party libraries to be able to run pytorch, or and use this features. So that's totally fine. So once this is done, you will be able to start installation. And as you can see, the command is pretty straightforward here. It's trying to mention the cmake prefix path, which will be since we're using anaconda, we'll use this, and then we just have to run this thing. Now again, since I will encourage you to start thinking about contributing if you're interested in open source, and if you want to contribute to PyTorch. So for that purpose, I will say that always use develop instead of install. So that's going to help. And that's it. So I'm just going to copy and paste here once this is done, right? And I'm just going to wait it. Okay, so I'm just going to pause, right? So since this is done, you can see it's everything is complete. It took a little time. Right now what we have to do is we have to just run that command. So whatever I had pasted, you can see we have just run this command. If you want to see what was the output, what actually got uh, saved into cmake prefix path, you can see this is just a environment path, right? And where all the libraries will be installed, right? So that is it. All you need to do is now we are good to go. We can just say python 3 setup.py and develop, because I'd appreciate if you want to contribute, go for develop mode. And you can see it starts off with trying to find out all the necessary libraries, and it will show some errors if there's any, but hopefully there will be none. You can see found codnn, found code detected 11.2, codnn detected 8.2.1. All that is cool, right? And ideally you can skip a lot of builds, and we will talk about that in the next video. For now, this all is good, and you are good to go. Once this is done, you will be using pytorch from source, and you can change some things on the source code and try to build again, and that is how things will go ahead. Okay, so I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, keep supporting us, and follow us for more content. Thank you.